Hey, welcome into this training. I'm going to walk you through the monthly financial flow that we take all of our clients through to ensure that we don't screw ourselves over and that we sleep at night stress free. I went ahead and created a little snazzy tagline here of what we do at the end of the month. So once a month ends, the next month rolls around. How do we sit through and go through our finances to set ourselves up to have success? So if you're not familiar with me or you're new to our channel or to us, my name is Will Boyd. I am the co-founder of CEO Finance Academy. What we do is we help small business owners with financial coaching to help them make better decisions in their businesses. So if you want to make more, if you want to keep more of what you make, if you want to never have to worry about stressing over a tax bill, or you want to know how to hire profitably, scale accordingly with profit, that's exactly what we do. So I want to just share with you a little insight into our world of how we think through this. I want to dive into our framework, what we do. This is the exact process that we use for ourselves and our business owners, our clients that we work with. We primarily work with clients doing anywhere from 200,000 a year up to 5 million a year. They have bookkeepers, they have accountants. If they don't, we connect them with one. But if they don't, or if they do, they typically do, I should say. What we do is we add on a layer of coaching to that to help them better understand how to use this. So, all right, let's get into this. So we're going to dive in. The very first thing we got to mention here is to do this requires discipline. And I know that you're going to hear this a lot when we talk, or if you're in the financial space. Like, money requires discipline, and understanding your numbers requires discipline. And the really simple thing to say here is that it's super easy not to do. Like, this is incredibly easy to overlook. We work with owners every single day who, some of them are doing millions of dollars a year, and you would assume, wow, they must be on top of all of their numbers. And a lot of the times they're not, and it's not their fault. We're not trained to know how to understand our numbers. We're not trained to know how to think through making projections and understanding COGS and all these things that we need to know. Most of us just got into business because it's what we like to do. And then you get to a certain point where you're growing. Usually you figured out some marketing and sales, and you're at a place where it's like, I got to figure this out. So that's a big thing. Discipline. You want to do this every single month. You need to do this at the end of every month. So the first week we do this, the first week after the end of the following month. And if you're finding it difficult to hold yourself accountable to doing a monthly flow like this, we even do a weekly flow, but to do a monthly flow like this, you want to ask yourself why. Why am I not forcing myself to sit down and look at the thing that this business is intended to do, which is to make money and create profit, so I can pay myself, ideally pay employees, give other people jobs, do the things that are amazing about running a business. If we're not holding ourselves accountable doing it, really just want you to ask yourself, kind of look in the mirror and say, well, why don't I want to do this? Why don't I want to sit down and face this? And I think a lot of the times clients come to us because we're not judgmental about it. We understand that it's a really tough thing to think through, and a lot of times to face, and we provide a safe space for that. But if that's where you're at, I want you to think about why am I not holding myself accountable to sitting down and doing this? All right, I have two number ones here, and this is a very important number one as well. One thing we never do is we do not pay ourselves money that we do not have. So what I mean by that is, if we don't make money as in a profit from the month before, we do not pay ourselves money that we don't have. We don't pull from somewhere where we don't. The reality is you can't pay yourself that money. Now, luckily, we're at a business maturity where we consistently make profit, and we know what that profit is, a sort of a minimum will be. We have monthly recurring revenue going that we know, what that's going to look like. But if you're starting out, even if you're sometimes when you're even further ahead, people are pulling money left and right out of their business, and it's not based on what their profit margins are. So what you want to do is you want to pay yourself the following month based on what you made last month. And so we're going to go into that. And this is whole training is predicated on knowing your numbers from the last month to be able to pay yourself this month. So let's get into this. These are the key things that you're going to need. You're going to need to measure, you're going to need to record, and you're going to need to move money. This is the process that we take all of our owners through every single month when we go through this. So the first thing that I recommend, I don't have it written down here, is that you want to have a dashboard, right? So it's super important that you have something like even as simple as a Google Sheet, an Excel sheet. We have a very simple one that I can send you if you want to comment spreadsheet or dashboard, one of the two. If you want to, let's just say comment dashboard below on this YouTube video or wherever you're seeing this. I'll make sure that we get it out to you. Our team gets out to you our very simple dashboard that we use. For our clients, we have much more complex, well thought out dashboards. We have a basic one that we can send out to you if some of you want. And the reason is you want to be able to see everything, not only individually in one place, but you want to be able to track it over time. So if you can see a dashboard for each month individually and see how it goes, it makes a huge difference of seeing the trends in your business. All right, so like I talked about before, one of the things, so we're going to get into measuring here. How do we measure what we did the month before? So the first thing is you want to do this at the beginning of every month. And if you're working with a bookkeeper in particular, you want to try to get them to get this to you as soon as they can at the beginning of the month. So, right, like books are going to close on the last day of the month. And of course, they're going to need some time to sort everything out, get the final transactions. If you can get it within 5 to 7 business days of the end of the previous month, that's great. And I highly recommend you try to do that if you can. Because here's what we want to do. We want to know bare minimum. These are the bare minimum things that we want to know. What did you make last month? So first thing you want to mark down, what did you make last month in revenue? This should be total revenue collected. This does not mean revenue expected to be collected. So we work with a lot of agency owners. We work with a lot of business owners who have payment plans. Let's say they make a $10,000 sale, or better yet, they made a $10,000 sale that's broken into 5 payments of $2,000. So every month they're going to get a new payment hit of $2,000. And in their brain, they're going to think, well, I made 10K off that sale. Well, for the last month, only $2,000 hit. That's only $2,000 can be counted towards that revenue. So you want this to be cash collected. Measure what you made in cash collected for revenue from the last month. The next thing you want to do is you want to measure what you spent last month via expenses, total expenses that have gone out. And what we really recommend here is that you have a bookkeeper. If you do not have a bookkeeper yet, and especially if you're doing over $10,000 a month and you don't have a bookkeeper, 100% recommend that you get a bookkeeper. And if you're at that place where you're doing over 10K a month and you need a bookkeeper and you don't have one, or you're not happy with the one you have, just comment bookkeeper below this YouTube video, or again, wherever you're watching this. We've partnered with a great group that we really trust. They do our bookkeeping. They've been amazing. They're willing to take on more business. Incredible group. Happy to connect you with them. And we're constantly building up our network of bookkeepers just through the marketing we do. So if that's something you need, just comment bookkeeper. Happy to reach out if you're doing over 10K a month. If not, highly recommend if you're under 10K a month, just really get a solid dashboard. You shouldn't be having, if you're under 10K a month, there's only so many transactions, expenses probably going out. Be able to to manage that on your own. But still recommend, it's bookkeeper's great for anybody. Bookkeeper should be getting you these numbers, your total cash collected and your total expenses going out. They should be getting that for you. That's what you're paying them for. If that's a struggle for them, that should be something that you should be holding them accountable to. All right, the last thing we measure here is just current cash on hand in your account. So what you're going to do is, so at the end of the month before, what was your total, what was that final number in your business checking account or business savings account? And then at the end of this previous month, or the month we just went through, what is your final number in your checking account, final number in your savings account? This just allows us to see month over month, hey, cash on hand, are we going up? Are we going down? Are we staying neutral? What's the trend of our business? So these are what we call measuring. And what we're going to do here is we're going to take all these measurements and we're going to place them into our dashboard to be able to record them and spit out some numbers. And so we're going to use some basic math here. And the great thing, if you're using like Google Sheets or Excel or QuickBooks or Airtable, you have these softwares can do quick calculations for you. Pen and paper are going to be a little bit harder. Obviously, you're going to have to do the math in your head or using a physical calculator or the calculator on your computer. But what we recommend is even as simple as a Google Sheet, an Excel sheet. Airtable is great. QuickBooks works pretty well as well. And what we're going to do is you're going to create this little dashboard. And again, if you don't have one, just comment dashboard below and I'll get one out to you. And what you're going to do is you're going to put revenue in, you're going to put your expenses in. Then what you're going to do is you're going to create a column or a row below that for gross profit. And gross profit is literally total cash collected minus total expenses. Right, so your revenue collected, total revenue collected minus expenses out is going to be your gross profit. Then we're going to want to think through a couple of things here. And this is where it gets a little bit more customized. And we're just going to go over rules of thumb here for us. And what we recommend is just suggestions. It's not financial advice. It's just one way to think about this. And there's plenty of other things that you can do. The first thing is you want to think through what percent of your profit do you want to pay yourself with? So, for example, let's just say that you're going to make 5K of profit. Well, what percent of that do you want? And I actually should move this. I would move this down. The first thing we want to do is think through taxes. So this is what I would say. What I recommend, or what we recommend as a rule of thumb, again, not financial advice, just rule of thumb, is one way that we do this is we take 30% of our gross profit as soon as we see this number come out. So we take gross profit, we take 30% of it, and we take that number and put it into the tax column. That money is going to be moved in the next section I'm going to talk about into our tax account. So then you're left with 70% of your gross profit. And you want to think through, what can you balance between there? What can you pay yourself? And what do you want to save for business growth? So the first thing is, you want to think through, if you know you're paying yourself if you're making consistent money, I recommend setting a business growth percentage of your profit. So maybe that's 10% of profit is going to go to business growth. That'll leave you with 60% of profit left that you could pay yourself with. And we have a really cool calculator if you're really struggling with this and you want to figure out what you can pay yourself. I know I've had tons of comments here, but if we have a calculator, it's really cool. I can pull it up for you here too. Let's see, paycheck predictor. So let's see if it really populates everything here. I don't know if it's going to pull up. Cool. We have an even fancier one. I'm not sure why this is the one popping up, but super simple, right? You're going to put in your revenue, put in your expenses. It'll calculate your gross profit, 30% for taxes, and then you can set your savings rate here of what you want to do for profit. So if you want that, just comment calculator. And again, our team will get that out to you on how to do that. All right, let's get back in here. So these are going to be things, obviously this is where, when we work with clients, we help them figure out, hey, what's the salary you can set for yourself? So for example, if you know that you're typically bringing in $20,000 a month or $100,000 a month, and you know that your expenses are half of that. So right, if you're making $100K a month, $50,000 of that's gone for expenses, then you have $50,000 of profit, and 30% of that is for taxes. So rough math, third is going to be a little over 16. Let's just say 15K is going to go to taxes. So you're left with 35K, and you're like, I could pay myself 8K a month. That's all I need to live off of. 8K a month, great. That leaves, 35 minus 8, 27K that you can put towards savings or put into a profit account. And that's how we think through this. So you want to set aside what you want your salary to be. This salary should be justified, set based on what you can make consistently. You don't want this to be an up and down. If you're just starting out, or you're newer in business, or maybe your expenses fluctuate heavily, then you're going to want to make sure you really do this every month. Really go through this, because what you're going to be able to pay yourself might change. And it's not a huge deal when you're self-employed and you're paying yourself that way. When you move to something like an S corp, paying yourself as a W-2 can be a little bit trickier, where you really want to have a set salary that you're going to be able to pay. Topic for a different day. But okay, so these things we're going to record from these measurements, right? Your revenue and your expenses. We're going to be able to calculate your gross profit. You want to calculate what your owner's compensation would be, figure out what your taxes should be for savings, and then your business growth to do that. So these are things we want to do. And then we move to step 4, right? So once we've measured, we've recorded it inside of our dashboard. I can't stress enough having just a clean dashboard where you can see all of this. Then we want to move, right? So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go into our account. Hopefully you have all of your revenue and expenses are going into one specific area. So what we do is we follow, for a lot of our clients, we don't follow profit first to a T, but we do have people set up separate checking accounts. So we have a revenue checking account, you have an expenses checking account, then we set up a savings account for taxes, and we set up a business growth savings account as well. And so those are usually the 4 primary accounts. And then oftentimes we'll have an owner's compensation account as well. And we're going to move. So you're going to go into your account. Usually it's going to be your checking account. That's where most of your, assuming most people's revenue is going to go in. So that revenue account, you're going to move whatever your salary is into your salary owner's compensation checking account. That's what we do every single month. Then you're going to figure out what that tax number is. So you're going to take that 30% of gross profit, again, from your revenue account, move that right over into your tax savings account. So you'd have a savings account labeled as taxes. You'd move that percent over to taxes. Then, if you have whatever's left over from that month, you'd move into a business savings account. So a savings account just set for business growth. And then one thing we really strive for here, one thing that Alex and I are super passionate about is building up business reserves. And for us, the gold standard, sorry, not the gold standard, the starting standard is building up to 3 months of your expenses saved in reserves. So for example, Alex and I, let's just say we spend 5,000, well, it's probably not true. We probably spend $8,000 a month in our business. And so for us, it means we want to have $24,000 on hand in a reserves account, because let's just say life happens and no new business could come in for 3 months. We both got sick, couldn't market. The business could continue to run for 3 months without us and continue to grow from a business growth side. So it's super important for us. So anything that's left over, maybe you set your profit account and you say, well, after I paid myself, let's just say you paid yourself, you put aside the money for taxes, you have, let's say you have $10,000 left over. Well, cool. Maybe you want to put 10,000 for, or 5,000 away for savings and profit. Ooh, I don't know how I did that there. And then you want to top off your reserves. So let me see here what I do here. Profit money. I can't remember exactly what I said. Cool. So this is our process. We've got trainings and examples of going through this that I think we'll be releasing at some point, where it's an actual walkthrough of going through this whole system together. Obviously, it's what we do. We set this up with clients inside of our business. So if you're out there right now, you feel like you need help getting your business finances in order, either you're not holding yourself accountable. I can't stress, the biggest things we see are business owners aren't holding themselves accountable. So for Alex and I, Alex is my business partner. He is our financial whiz. He's the financial expert in our business. I can't tell you, if I didn't have him as a partner, it would be so easy for me to sleep on this. But we have a meeting every single week to talk about this. And we have a monthly financial meeting every single month. And we have a quarterly meeting every single month. And we hold ourselves accountable to looking at this and focusing on it. And it's actually really transformed our business because we're forced to sit with it. So I can't recommend that enough. The second thing I would say is, if you don't have a dashboard, you're going to want a dashboard. If you're doing over 10K a month and you don't have a bookkeeper at all, or one you trust, you really want to get a solid bookkeeper. And then lastly is recording this so it's accurate, knowing where you need to put your buckets of money, and then moving it, and then you're done. And to be honest, we're at a place where this takes all of 15 to 20 minutes for us, and it's been amazing. But if this is stuff you need help with, if you're struggling with this, our goal is to put out a ton more trainings on hiring, making profitable hiring, going through your own profitability. We'll do more trainings on that. I just think this is really powerful stuff. I know it's the basics and stuff that people oftentimes are like, oh, I don't want to do it. Trust me, this has been easily the biggest game changer for us outside of cracking client acquisition. So for us, it's super important. So I would love to put these trainings together. And if you need help, I dropped this link here. That's not the reason for this training, but if you're like, I need help, I need to get this stuff figured out. If you're doing more than 10K a month and that like getting on top of your finances is going to be the thing that's going to help you the most, go to ceofinanceacademy.com/book-profit-call. I'll put a link to that here in the description as well. Can't wait to see you, and would love to just get to chat with you. By the way, it's a 15-minute call. Nothing to sell you on that call. Totally just to try and help you and get to know you. So hope this helps. See you guys on the next video.